Kirby, I have two things. First of all, where is Braves legend Jesse Chavez going to fit in on this bullpen? I mean, what kind of role is he going to have? And how important do you think he is going to be to the success of the Braves this year?
Drive into left. At the wall. It's gone. Tie game.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Throwing Partners Podcast. It's Kirby, Joe, and Nate here, coming to you on a Wednesday night. And not just any guys. This is the last day before opening day. We've got one more sleep until opening day. And then tomorrow is when the best time of the year starts. It is officially baseball season with games that count. I am ecstatic. I probably will not sleep tonight because I'm so excited for 3:10 Central Standard Time tomorrow. So needless to say, I am really looking forward to it. We wanted to give you guys one more podcast before the season gets started, previewing each one of our teams. If you have never listened to our podcast before, my buddy Nate is a Tigers fan, my buddy Joe is an Astros fan, and I, Kirby D, am a Braves fan since '92, baby. So needless to say, I am ready for them to give us a team preview, and I told them I am going to put them on the clock. They are going to have 10 minutes to give you a rundown for their teams. So, Joe, you're on the clock.
All right, well, it's the night before Christmas. That's kind of what it feels like. I think everybody here can agree that it's going to be hard sleeping tonight, waiting for that 3:10 first pitch. I'm ecstatic about the Astros, the outlook that they have, for this season. Now, a lot of people are doubting, their ability to make it back to the postseason, and they have the Rangers, topping them in the division for the AL West, and I just don't agree with those predictions. Um, it's really not a homer take. It's more of the Astros have been the most consistent team in the division over the last 8 years. The Rangers had a fluke 2023 World Series, title run. Um, but honestly, I think that the Astros are having a youth movement right now with the additions of Hayden Wesneski, Cam Smith, and Zach DeZenzo to the roster. And I think that they did a great job of addressing some of the needs over the offseason. Now, a lot of people weren't exactly happy with everything that they did over the offseason, trading Kyle Tucker, not re signing Alex Bregman. But I think that the parts they received in return for Tucker and then how they replace Bregman are going to be more than adequate to boost their offensive output. Last year, the thing that killed the Astros was their lineup. It was their weakest link. Their bullpen was very good. Their starting rotation near the end of the year was one of the best in the league. But their lineup could not hit to save their life. They couldn't hit with runners in scoring position. They chased way too much. And honestly, they did a very good job of addressing their chase rate, bringing in Christian Walker and Isak Paredes, and then adding Cam Smith, who he's a rookie and he's going to have his challenges, but profiles as someone that has a very good eye at the plate. So it honestly it kind of gives me 2016 to 2017 Astros vibes, where the Astros in 2015 had success. Then in 2016, you saw them expand the zone way too much. And then over the offseason, going to 2016 to 2017, they addressed the chase rate by bringing guys like Josh Reddick, you know, uh, Brian McCann, guys that would take pitches, that would see the ball, that would work good at bats. Um, and I honestly feel like what they've done over this offseason has been more than adequate to address those needs, like I mentioned. So I'm really ecstatic about the Astros' outlook for this season. I know things can change with injuries. Stuff happens. You already have Christian Walker kind of re-injuring a past injury that he suffered last season with that oblique. But he should be ready for opening day. Joe Espada and Dana Brown have both said that he will be in the lineup tomorrow. Um, and he will be right beside Jose Altuve, Jordan, Yainer, Isak, Cam Smith, um, and then Jake Myers. Now, I do have some questions about their defensive positioning, only because the talk of the offseason before Cam Smith kind of jumped onto the scene was Jose Altuve moving to left field almost permanently. Um, and now that Cam Smith and Zach DeCenzo have made the team, um, and Zach DeCenzo, he earned that spot just as much as Cam Smith did. Right now, Cam Smith is the talk of the town because of the fact that he is the fourth fastest player to ever reach the majors coming out of college. But Zach DeCenzo played just as good, if not better, than Cam Smith in spring and absolutely earned a spot and at bats on this team. Um, Now, with that being said, the Astros came out and said that any top prospect that is going to make the opening day roster is going to see at bats. Now, there's kind of a problem with that sentiment because if you have Jose Altuve in left field and you have Cam Smith in right field, you're not going to play Zach DeCenzo in center field. That slot is Jake Meyer's spot to lose. Him and Chaz and Mauricio will probably be rotating in and out of that center field spot. All three of them are very good defensive center fielders, but it'll be very interesting to see how the Astros play the defensive alignment because if you want my opinion, the best defense that the Astros can have while not sacrificing or while also having the best offensive output is you have Yiner at catcher, Walker at first, you have Cam Smith at third, you have Jose Altuve in left, Pena at short, um, you have Isak at second, and then you have Myers and DeCenzo in right field. Now that's in my opinion, the best defensive lineup that the Astros can have, both defensively and offensively. Now, Isak Paredes is probably not going to be a very good second baseman, just like Jose Altuve, but he is a natural infielder, and Jose has been working all offseason in the outfield. So I'm just going to allow Jose to at least let that play out for a little bit. And Cam Smith, he's very athletic and he's got a very good arm, as we kind of saw during the first game against the Sugarland Space Cowboys. But his natural position is third base. That's where he was drafted at. I would feel more comfortable with him playing a position that he's more comfortable with. I'm not saying that he's not capable of making that transition to right field because, as I said in the previous podcast, that kid is a grinder. He absolutely gets after it. He puts in the work 7 out of 7 days of the week. I mean, he's kind of like Alex Bregman. That's what he reminds me of. He's a baseball rat. I mean, you're never not going to see him at the field. You're never not going to see him trying to get better, working at his craft. So I have no doubt that he can make that transition, but there are a lot of expectations that are being placed upon him right now, and I would almost feel more comfortable with him playing a position that he's more comfortable in so that he can focus on that and then go out there and rake like we've seen. So I've been talking about the Astros lineup a lot. I want to move on to the starting rotation. I think that the starting rotation is going to be very good this year. You're going to have Framber Valdez, the ace, hold it down. You're going to have Hunter Brown, who I look to kind of blossom into ace two. So you're going to have ace one and ace two at the top of your rotation, and then you're going to have a guy in Spencer Arrighetti, who I'm also looking to have a breakout year, kind of grow on what he did last year in the second half, and be able to be more consistent throughout the season. And then you have Ronel Blanco and then Hayden Wesneski, who we got in the Kyle Tucker trade. Now, Ronel Blanco last year was kind of our stopper. Every time we were on a losing streak, you could always count on Ronel to take the ball and give us a win. Now, I do see some regression going back towards some of his career norms. I don't expect him to be the kind of pitcher that he was last year. I believe he had the lowest ERA in the American League. I don't expect that. I expect him to have an ERA closer to the threes, probably higher threes, lower fours, which is perfectly fine for a fourth or fifth starter. It's all going to depend on the status of some of the Astros pitchers that we have coming back from injury. And speaking of that, we have Lance McCullers, who is just waiting in the wing. I believe he will get his first start in Sugarland on Tuesday of next week. and that'll start the clock on his 30-day rehab. So he should be back, mid-May, if not April, uh, May, probably late April, early May is his timeline. And I think that bodes well for the Astros because he looked really good in his first outing. Now it was only 13 pitches, but I think he looked good. And then you have the Astros bullpen who shapes up a lot differently than we're used to, but we do have some familiar names. You have uh, uh, Josh Hader and Brian Abreu heading up the bullpen. Then you have a guy, a breakout candidate last year, and Taylor Scott, who will be in the bullpen, hoping to have a repeat of last season. And then you have some guys that you're kind of hoping can have really good years. They had really good stuff last year in Brian King and Luis Contreras. Uh, and then you're kind of hoping on guys like Ryan Gusto, who is a rookie, and then Rafael Montero having a bounce back year with that massive contract. But you're also going to be seeing Forrest Whitley and Caleb Ort come along sometime in the next few weeks after their stint on the IL. Now, I look to Forrest Whitley as having a really good season this year. I'm really excited to see him come back because he looked dominant in spring. And it's just always been an injury problem with him. Right now, he's on the IL with a bone bruise, which no one knows how he sustained it. But I'm just hoping, he's able to recover and throw well in Sugarland because he's out of options. There's nothing the Astros can do to him anymore. After he comes off of the IL, he has got to be with the big league team. He cannot go back down to the minors. So this is it for Forrest Whitley. The Forrest Whitley experience could be over, in a few short months if he doesn't perform well. But I really liked what I saw with him out of spring. So I'm really optimistic about the way that he will throw the ball this season. I don't know what else to say about this team. I'm really excited. I think that having Jordan in the 3 spot in front of a guy or behind a guy like Isaac Paredes is going to do very well for him. Part of the problem with Jordan last year, early on in his struggles, was that he was hitting second and Jose Altuve was hitting a first pitch. He was either getting on base or popping up or, getting out. It didn't give Jordan any time to prepare. He's one of those guys that needs that time to prepare in the on deck circle. So I'm really excited to see him hit behind Isaac Paredes, who was notorious for taking a lot of pitches, seeing a lot of taking a lot of good at bats, having quality ABs, and then he's got a very high on base percentage and slug. So I look to see Isak in scoring position or on first base a lot when Jordan comes up to bat. So I'm really optimistic about the way that this lineup is going to shape out. I think after the spring that Jeremy had, and that's Jeremy Pena, I think that he could use he could be a really big boost to this Astros lineup if he finds some of that power like we saw in his rookie season. And then after that, it's a crapshoot between Brendan Rodgers, Mauricio Dubon, and then Jake Myers or Chaz in center field. It is what it is. The last two in the lineup, 8 and 9. But I think 1 through 7 is going to be pretty decent. Slotting in Cam Smith, potentially Zach DeZenzo some games, and then Jeremy Pena if we can see a resurgence in power from him. So I'm really excited about the lineup. And this is probably the most excited I've been about a team in a while, just because of the change and kind of the shift towards the youth movement. So that's kind of my Astros outlook for 2025. Now that optimism could be over really quick. They are facing a postseason contender with the Mets at this opening series, but we'll see. I'm optimistic, and I hope I'm not wrong for being optimistic about this team and their ability.
Well, Joe, that was a fantastic Astros preview, and I just hope that the Astros sweep their first series because that really helps out the Braves. Nathan, I'm going to hand it over to you. Give us a Tigers preview for the 2025 season.
So you said it would be good if the Astros swept the Mets for the Braves, but what would be good for baseball is if my good old Detroit Tigers survive against the Dodgers the next few games. So
That'd be fantastic.
One thing I do want to say is I want to remind Joe about Ronel Blanco's ERA. Tarek Skubal won the Triple Crown for pitching, so that would make him the second lowest ERA.
Yeah.
So put that asterisk up in your notes. Let's see. So I'll start it out here. I'll just go through what we have for our infield and outfield, and then I'll move into pitchers and a little bit more about the rest of our lineup. So catchers behind the dish, we're going to be looking at Dylan Dingler and Jake Rogers splitting time. I kind of imagine this is going to happen. Dylan Dingler is a lot better with the stick. Jake Rogers is better with the glove, and he's a lot more comfortable with all of the pitchers. So I think we'll see both of them splitting time, some time at DH for Dingler probably. Infielders, we're looking at Dylan Dingler, right? Yeah, middle school must have been tough. So infielders, so we're looking at Javier Baez, Andy Ibanez, Colt Keith, Zach McKinstry, Trey Sweeney, Spencer Torkelson, and Gleyber Torres. First of all, I know Torkelson is probably going to be DHing most of the year. They've been looking at Colt Keith at first base since the season ended last year. So that's where those two are going to be sitting. Second base, I think they're leaving it straight to Gleyber, according to MLB.com. Gleyber is going to be our starting second baseman on the regular. I think when the 40-man starts happening, we'll probably have Jace Jung go in there a little bit, some of the other younger guys. Over at third base, they're going to be looking at Ibanez and Zach McKinstry, I believe. So it's just the normal. I think when Matt Wheeler comes back off the IL, he will be splitting time there and in right field. Those are his two usual positions. Shortstop, we're going to have Trey. We're going to have Javier. And we'll see McKinstry there occasionally, maybe Gleyber there occasionally. I mean, look, we got a group of guys that could play three of the infield positions pretty much interchangeably. So I think I'm solid there. We were one of the best defensive teams the last couple of years. I'm happy with that, and I think we'll continue to be pretty solid on defense. For outfielders, we're looking at Kerry Carpenter, the GOAT, Riley Green. We'll have Wencel Perez once he comes back off the IL, sorry, we're not in football. Matt Vierling, and then as of 2 days ago, I believe, we were going to have Manuel Margot as a two-way player. So I think we're going to be run-of-the-mill outfield. I think we're going to have two All-Stars, at least, Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter. What else am I going to say? Riley was our tank last year, and Kerry spent most of the year on the IL, and obviously he became the playoff tank in that ALDS series. So I'm excited to have them both in the outfield. Hopefully they both play a full year. And then they both mash the ball. I think it's going to be an exciting year for our outfield. So for our pitchers, I'll start with our five starters. Obviously, we're going to have the number one, the GOAT, the future back-to-back Cy Young winner, Tarek Skubal. And being followed up there, we're going to have our trade deadline sweetheart, Jack Flaherty. I called it at the break as soon as we traded him. We were going to get him back. So I'm happy that he's back. Behind him, we're going to have Reese Olson. They're going to have Casey Mize. And then I think maybe in the 5 spot, maybe in the 4 spot, they're going to have the Rook, Jackson Jobe. Now, like we said in that last episode, I think Jobe is gonna come out, be the lightning rod of the pitching staff this year for at least for the Rookie of the Year. So I'm hoping to see him work in those new pitches and get a little bit more control, more consistency, and hopefully he's a good trailer for this rotation. And then in the pen, at least to start, we're going to have John Brebbia. We're going to have Bo Breesky, Brennan Hanafy, Tyler Holton, Brant Herter, Tommy Canely, Kenta, and Will Vest. A few changes in there, not too many. We still have our basic young guys: Bo Breesky, Brendan Hanafy, Tyler Holton, Brant Herter, Will Vest. We had all those guys last year. They were on the playoff roster. Will Vest and Bo Breesky had very successful outings against playoff teams, the Astros. And then we signed Brebbia and Tommy Canley in the offseason, and Kenta Maeda. You know what? Listen, I like the dude. I liked him when he was in Minnesota, but right now they're just letting him do his own thing. Like, he's just here pitching. He's been significantly better in a relief role than he has in a starting role. So Scott Harris is just letting Hinch let Kenta do his own thing. And honestly, I'm fine with it. Just keep him out of the starting rotation, for the love of God. So that's what we're looking at for our active roster on opening day. We do have a handful of players that are currently out and on the IL. So Matt Vierling, he's one of them. He's been one of our utility guys, play both the infield and the outfield. He was, I believe, our starting third baseman for a majority of the year last year. Made a sweet play in Game 3 of the ALC, or Game 2 of the AL. No, it was the wild card. Yep. And then we have Alex Lang. He is one of our closers. That was with he was splitting time last year with Jason Foley. He's out. He's on the IL 60. I don't know what injury he has specifically, but 60 days, it's a major injury. Wencel Perez, was our everyday right fielder at the start of the year last year. Switch hitter, pretty decent bat, a pretty decent glove. He's going to start the year on the IL. I think a couple other guys, Austin Meadows. Austin Meadows is going to be out for at least 2 months, I think, which is really, really painful for us because he has got a platinum glove, in my personal opinion. He's probably going to be one of the best center fielders when he comes back, when it comes to fielding. So I'm looking forward to that. And a lot of the younger guys, too, that we had on our playoff roster ended up in the AAA system, unfortunately. So Kiter Montero, he was one of the starters that we had last year in our pitching chaos. He got optioned to AAA. Kreidler, it says he went to AAA, but I'm pretty sure he's on the roster as a utility player. So maybe he's on another split type of deal like Margot. Jace Jung, he got sent down to AAA. He had a pretty pathetic spring, from what I understand. So, and he's also been rehabbing an injury that he had surgery on over the offseason. So I know he's down there. He's going to be rehabbing, and they'll bring him up when he's ready. Sean Gunther was another guy we had in the bullpen. He's down there. He's going to be rehabbing an injury as well. So we got tools that are ready to come up from AAA. One more notable one I'll say is Matt Manning. I believe he was number one pick a couple years ago, or he was at least our first round pick a couple years ago from the Gators. He had decent numbers last year, and then he got hurt, which unfortunately is a common thing in the MLB now. So he'll be rehabbing his injury. He'll be in AAA, getting ready to come back up. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to those guys getting healthy and being incredibly deep on our bench and in our bullpen. One last thing I'll say about a player, Jose Urquidy. He's on our 60-day IL right now, I think. Sorry, Joe. I'll be honest, I really liked Urquidy when he played for you guys, so I'm very happy that he is with us now. And I think Chris Fetter will get him right once he comes off his injury. So sorry once again. Very happy he's here. Predictions, like I said in our last couple episodes, I think we're going to take the Central. I think we have the most deep lineup, and I think we have the best starting rotation which it could be questionable. Some of those other teams are very good, but I think overall we have the best. That might be my bias. I think our bullpen is going to be very solid again. We lost our closer Foley to AAA. He was having a really bad spring, which is unfortunate, but I have full trust in Breesky. I have full trust in Herter and Hannafin and Holton. I think all of those guys can come in and be part of the pitching chaos at any point in the late game and get the job done. I'm also looking forward to see what Brevia does throughout the year. And Will Vest last year stank it up at the start, but at the end he was a flame throwing closer, long reliever, wherever the hell we needed to throw him. So I'm looking forward to seeing him continue it this year. And our bats, I think as long as we get our bats going, Carey, Riley, Glaber looked really good in the spring. Colt Keith, if he keeps building on the year that he had last year, I think that we're going to be a very solid team going into the playoffs and taking home that pennant again. So that's my outlook for the year.
Well, that was a great Tigers preview, Nathan. I have 3 things I want to say. First of all, the Tigers have a fantastic manager in AJ Hinch. 2, shout out to Will Vest because we went to the same college, Stephen F. Austin, Axel Jacks.
What?
And 3, Matt Vierling, his most memorable moment where his name has been said the most is when Yordan Alvarez hit the homer about 50 foot behind him in the 2022 World Series when he was playing center field for the Phillies.
True.
Everybody remembers that call. Vierling's back. This game is turned upside down. Yeah, y'all know the call.
Yep.
Fantastic call. One of probably, in my opinion, one of the best calls for a home run in the World Series of all time. Probably it's got to be a top 10, maybe even a top 5. So thank you, gentlemen, for both of your previews. I will go ahead and give a Braves preview. A lot of people this offseason just want to talk about the losses, so I'll go over those first, and then we're going to get to some positives about what's going on. First of all, we lost Max Fried. We lost Charlie Morton. We just had a trade with Ian Anderson. He is gone. We lost Travis d'Arnaud and Jorge Soler to the same team that Ian went to. The Braves and Angels love to make deals. We also lost A.J. Minter to the Mets. We also lost Gio Urshela and Whit Merrifield. A lot of people were very upset about losing most of these guys. Honest to God, I was not really upset about losing any of them. Travis d'Arnaud's blocking Drake Baldwin. Max Fried's a walking injury. Charlie Morton is almost the age of a grandpa. A.J. Minter is coming off hip surgery. So there's not a whole lot for me that I'm actually really upset that we lost. Do I think that we should have replaced some of them? Yes. But we did not, and that's different. Now, as far as things that we gained in the offseason, for one, we gained a new hitting coach. So we're getting a new perspective on the offensive side from Tim Hires. He is a 2-time World Series champion, for those of you who didn't know, with the Red Sox and the Rangers. The dude knows how to teach hitting. So I am very excited about that. We also gained Jurickson Profar coming off a career year. And then we gained Brian De La Cruz and Alex Verdugo as a little depth. So that's kind of what we lost and what we gained in the offseason. I'm really excited about Profar because he can be a great everyday left fielder, and we don't have to worry about him being a platoon guy like we have in years past. Before I go into the rotation, the bullpen, and the starting lineup, I do want to talk briefly about who's on the IL currently. Currently, you've got Joe Jimenez, our number 1 eighth inning guy last year, is on the IL with a knee injury. Knee surgery is what he ended up having. He'll be back maybe in August. He might be out the whole year. There is a world where he's out the entire year, which sucks because I really like Joe Jimenez. Sean Murphy got hit by a 95-mile-an-hour fastball during spring training, cracked the rib. He should be out another 3 to 4 weeks, so maybe 1st of May he's back. I really want to see Sean Murphy have a great year. He was really solid in Oakland. He was extremely solid, MVP level that first half of 2023 where he had like a 990 OPS. And he just hasn't been the same guy since. So I'd love to see him get back to being that solid player that he was. Ronald Acuna Jr. He has told people in the media and in the know that he wants to be back the beginning of May. That's about 5 weeks into the season or so, which I think is a perfect timeline for him. Whenever he is ready, I will be ready to see him back. I love watching that guy play. He is a fantastic player. And he is a great human too. If you've ever listened to him talk, he's awesome. And then Spencer Strider, he had his first start, not this past Monday, but the Monday before that, and he looked amazing. He looked like Spencer Strider. Then he threw again this past week, and he actually looked pretty solid there too. Got a lot of missed strike calls. I don't know what in the hell is going on in spring training with the umpires, but I swear to God they're blind. Because there are several that are like right here, right down middle, ball, and it was irritating just sitting on the couch watching. But he is expected to have maybe 3 or 4 starts in the minors and then come up from there. So once again, we could get Ronald Acuna Jr., Spencer Strider, and Sean Murphy back by the beginning of May to really strengthen our lineup and our rotation. So talking about the rotation, our rotation right now looks like this. It's got Chris Sale anchoring it down, the reigning NL Cy Young, Reynaldo Lopez, Spencer Schwellenbach, AJ Smith-Shawver, and Grant Holmes. That is the top 5 right now. Your depth pieces look like Bryce Elder. I'm drawing a blank right now. Bryce Elder is basically the 6th guy right now. With that being said, something really cool side note about Chris Sale. I was just talking to the guys about this on off air before we started. Chris Sale actually gifted 8 people in the Braves organization Rolex watches for their help last year in helping him contribute to winning the Cy Young. Catchers, coaches, bullpen catchers, all sorts of people. So I thought that was a really cool gesture of him. He speaks very highly of all of his teammates. And also, fun fact, did you know he has never shook off a catcher? So trusting his catcher has been his go-to game plan for his entire career, and it has paid dividends because he's been fantastic. The bullpen right now. This is how I think it's going to look opening day. It hasn't officially been announced yet, but you're going to have 3 lefties in there with Aaron Bummer, Dylan Lee, and Jose Suarez, who they got in the Ian Anderson trade. I really think that Suarez is just down there right now until Craig Kimbrell is ready, who was also one of those off-season additions, but he's going to ramp up in the minors before he comes up. Kind of a Craig Kimbrell reunion tour with the Braves. And then as far as righties go, you've got Raisel Iglesias, you've got Pierce Johnson, Daysbel Hernandez, Hector Neris, sorry Joe, and Eniel De Los Santos. So that's kind of how the bullpen is kind of rounding out right now. I imagine when Strider comes back, it'll probably be AJ Smith-Shawver or Grant Holmes to the bullpen. Not totally sure, to be honest. They may throw Holmes in there to make him the long man. It may be AJ because he throws extremely hard. But we'll see later on down the road. As far as the bench goes right now, I think tomorrow when the opening day roster is set, you're going to see a bench of Nick Allen, who is a defensive whiz, but he really doesn't hit well. However, he has had a phenomenal spring. I'm not sure if it was the Tim Hires effect on him or what, but he has hit extremely well this spring, raising questions about Orlando Arcia's playing time because of it. And then you're going to have Brian De La Cruz on the bench, who is going to platoon with Jared Kelnick until Ronald Acuna Jr. gets back. He absolutely mashes left-handed pitching, so that's a great bench bat right now. And then you're going to have Eli White as another backup outfielder and infielder because he can play just about anywhere in the infield as well. He was a shortstop at Clemson. And then you're going to have Chadwick Trump as the backup catcher. Now, probably one of the most exciting things to come out of spring training this year was Drake Baldwin, the Braves' #1 prospect. They haven't officially announced it, obviously, but Drake Baldwin has made the opening day roster. He is actually going to be the starting catcher. He has received very high praise from the pitching staff, which if you know anything about the Braves, they love the defensive first catcher. But that's not all that Drake Baldwin can do. Drake Baldwin can also swing it, and they love his bat. Now, I will say this, Max Fried led the charge on how he felt about William Contreras, and that is why William Contreras is no longer in the organization, because Max Fried straight up said that he didn't like throwing to William Contreras. Now, who looks like a real idiot is Max Fried, because William Contreras looks great. He just needed time to develop. And if you would have kept Travis d'Arnaud and William Contreras, you could have had both of them. Contreras could have developed here. And William Contreras loved Atlanta. That dude still talks and posts about being in Atlanta, which kind of makes me sad because I like dudes that like playing for the team. But anyway, moving on from that, tomorrow I think you're going to see a lineup that's going to have a lot of star power in it. It's going to have a lot of pop as well. You're going to see Jurickson Profar leading off against his former team. I said earlier he had a career year last year. He hit 24 home runs and he had a 3.6 B-WAR. Extremely solid. In the 2-hole, you're going to have Austin Riley, who is healthy. When healthy, the last 3 seasons before last year, he had a B-WAR greater than 6. So not quite MVP, but better than all-star level. In the 3-hole, you're going to have Matt Olson. For those of you who don't know, Matt Olson has one of the most beautiful left-handed swings in the game. He hit 54 homers in 2023. Even in a down year last year, he still hit 29, and that was a down year for him. In the 4-hole, you're going to have the Big Bear, Marcell Ozuna. He's had 40 home runs or right at it the last 2 seasons, and he looks great. He had a good spring as well, and he is just a powerful dude. And he will be doing the DHing this year. In the 5th hole, playing center field, you're going to have who I believe is going to lead the team in B-WAR and F-WAR this year, and that's Michael Harris. He has got Gold Glove potential playing center field, and he's got 20-20, possibly 30-30 pop. I would love to see his base running skills improve this year because typically they haven't been great. In the 6th hole, you're going to have 30 home run potential Ozzy Albies at 5'7". I hope that Ozzy's arm's gotten better because, my God, it's horrible. He might be my favorite player, but I think that all 3 of us have a better arm than Ozzy. But once again, for a second baseman, that dude can absolutely swing it. I'd love to see him be more patient as well. If he ever learns to take his walks, he could easily hit consistently at the top of the order, but I just don't think that's who he is as a player. In the 7th spot, I think we're going to see the Rook. I think we're going to see Drake Baldwin. He's the number 1 prospect for a reason. They love his defense, and they love that he can swing it. His exit velos in the spring, from what they saw, are incredible. In the 8th spot, you're probably going to have Jarred Kelenic, who is basically filling in for Ronald Acuna Jr. right now, and then you're going to have Orlando Arcia, who is basically just a glove first guy, doesn't really bring any value at the plate. But, I mean, guy can hit 15, 20 home runs pretty easily. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really excited for this lineup. I think it's going to be even better when Ronald Acuna Jr. and Sean Murphy come back. That's if Drake Baldwin doesn't just go off and have some kind of, historic start to his career. Now, if that happens, I do believe that they cut ties with Chadwick Tromp because he has had options. Even though Chris Sale has said that he absolutely loves throwing to Trompy. So I think that they would cut ties with him and hope that he clears waivers and then put him back down in Gwinnett. So that is kind of my Braves preview for this year. We've gone over the lineup, the rotation, the bench, the bullpen, their gains, their losses, and the injured list. So all in all, gentlemen, we lasted about 13 minutes apiece on our predictions. So not horrible, not 15-20 like we thought, but I think overall we did a great job.
Kirby, I have 2 things. First of all, where is Braves legend Jesse Chavez going to fit in on this bullpen? I mean, what kind of role is he going to have? And how important do you think he is going to be to the success of the Braves this year?
Joe, you remember our episode last year where I was campaigning the get coach to Texas. Dude is 40 years old, had like a 1.6 ERA at the All-Star break, and they couldn't get him to the All-Star game. I was pretty freaking irritated personally. There is just something about Jesse Chavez putting on a Braves uniform that all of a sudden he's got a cutter that just seems to work. He'll have a 9 ERA with, the Rangers, the White Sox, the Angels, whoever. He puts on that Braves jersey, all of a sudden, there's no more kryptonite for him, and he is Superman. So I don't know actually what his role is going to be. I would not be surprised if his name is on that opening day roster tomorrow. I also would not be surprised if he's sitting in Gwinnett and just waiting on an injury to happen. Because for the last 3, 4, however many years, he's been kind of the cleanup guy, the long relief guy. He's not a strikeout guy, so he doesn't typically throw as many pitches. So he can actually go like 2 innings, 2 1/3, 3 innings if he has to, because he's not throwing a lot of pitches. He gets a lot of ground balls. And Jesse Chavez is maybe 5'10", but that dude's got a set of nuts on him when it comes to being on the bump. If every guy had that, they'd be impossible to hit. Because Chavez doesn't have the best stuff. He just knows how to pitch. So I'm very interested to see, Joe. That's a great question. I would not be surprised if his name is on that roster tomorrow. So that is my Braves preview.
And then Kirby, I've got some bad news for the both of us. If any of you out there know the Ben Verlander jinx, every year he puts out his predictions, and every year the bracket is just absolutely incorrect. This year, you can only imagine what his World Series predictions are. It's Astros against the Braves, with the Braves coming up on top. So that means that the Astros are going to lose 103 games, and the Braves are going to miss the playoffs. So that's what I'm hearing from this prediction. I mean, he does have the Tigers making the postseason too, Nate. So I'd watch out.
Listen, it doesn't apply to us because Verlander was here first, so and he played for us. So
I'm just going to say this. If all 3 of our teams miss the postseason, I'm going to be extremely pissed off because we're not going to have any content after like October 3rd. And we're just going to be talking about teams that we don't really know anything about. But surely that's not going to be the case.
About.
Do what?
I said teams we don't really give a crap about. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I really don't want to sit here and have to talk about, I don't know, maybe the Orioles or the Blue Jays, on October 4th. So needless to say, I'm really looking forward to the season. I don't really know what to expect. I think the lineup is going to be fine as long as they're healthy. The rotation will be much better when Spencer Strider comes back. But once again, guys, I've said this on the last 2 podcasts. I cannot be more thrilled that baseball season is back. It is my favorite time of the year. I used to love as a little kid, like waking up knowing that like we had real baseball. I used to love waking up like for that first practice of the season with whatever team you were on that year. So I'm just thrilled. Like Joe said, it's like Christmas morning. I know I'm not going to sleep tonight because I'm going to be so excited about tomorrow. So, gentlemen, do y'all have any final thoughts before we close this out?
No.
Nathan, you got anything?
Generally, no. I'll say, Joe, I'm happy Cam Smith is on your roster. I'm
absolutely
excited to see how he performs.
The Cam
Smith
was
very big surprise for me.
Oh, like in serious, like crocodile tears. That was an incredible call-up video.
Mm-hmm. It was an incredible video, and I'm not gonna lie, I almost started tearing up when I saw it, but I was at work when they posted that, so I was like, I'm not gonna do it here, but I mean,
took his heart off his sleeve real quick.
Yeah, that's most of our dreams right there, and for him to have that experience, and for Joe to give, and the Astros to give him that experience with his family, was just an incredible moment to see. It's been going viral, and those are the kind of moments that you live for as a human being. So it was really great to see. I'm really excited for him as well. I mean, I keep saying it. His swing is so smooth. And he's just got raw power going the opposite way, which leads me to believe that he can pull the ball too. It's in there somewhere. He's going to be able to pull the ball, and once he figures that out, I think that he could be one of the better players in the league. And I've got to tamper my expectations for him because there's a lot riding on his shoulders right now, because of the expectations that he set for us as the fans. But I'm just hoping that he's really successful as a major leaguer, and He reminds me of Carlos Correa a lot, if I'm being honest, and I haven't felt this way about a prospect since Carlos Correa.
Well, I will say this about Cam Smith. What will help Cam Smith the most is if the rest of the Astros do their job. If you see Jose
Absolutely.
Altuve and Jordan and Christian Walker and Isak and all of these other guys, if all of them hit well, then he's got nothing to worry about. He's just got to go out and play and do a great job. And then that takes that stress off of him. And then all of a sudden, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets to play every day this year. Or maybe he plays in 140 games or so and ends up with 20, 25 homers. Maybe he's got 30, 40 doubles, you know. I will be interested to see how his strikeout rate looks, how his walk rate looks, things like that, chase rate. But overall, extremely happy for him. And Joe, you're the Astros fan here, but I'm excited about DeZenzo making the roster too.
I am too.
They both
hope
played
that they're
extremely
able to. They did both play extremely well. I'm just really interested to see how they managed the playing time between the both of them. I already gave my opinion earlier in the episode on how, I think the lineup would best be to give both players, full playing time. I mean, you don't want your lineup, your 8 and 9 guys, to be Mauricio Dubon, Brendan Rodgers, and then Jake Myers. Dubon and Brendan Rodgers at second, probably interchanging, and then Myers in center field. If you can maximize the lineup by shifting Cam over to third, having Isak play second, leave Altuve in left, and open up right field for either, honestly, a Chaz or DeZenzo, because if Chaz can regress anywhere towards the mean, back to his career norms, last year was an aberration when you look at the rest of his career numbers. If Chaz can be even a little bit better than what he was last year, you're already having a better offensive output than you would if you had Brendan Rodgers or Mauricio Dubon in the lineup. So I do think that there is a way. I just don't know if the Astros are so gung-ho to go that way. And we'll see. I imagine that the lineup tomorrow is going to be Altuve, Isak, Jordan, either Yiner or Walker in that 4 or 5 position. You can honestly interchange them. Pena in the 6 hole, Cam Smith 7, Mauricio Dubon or Brendan Rodgers 8, and then Jake Marisnick 9. So it'll be interesting to see, what the lineup looks like when it comes out around 12 tomorrow. But I'm super excited about this team. I'm really optimistic. I can honestly see them making a World Series run with how open the AL feels right now. There are just no teams outside of Boston that I'm really that scared of. So I can see it. Now it does depend on how the Astros do play. They were one of the worst teams in the league last year and run games. And Nathan, you're looking at me like that. I'm sorry. The Tigers got really hot last year. We've seen teams flame out like that before. I can just see the Astros doing it. I don't know. I may be just like woefully optimistic, but I can see it. So, and apparently so does Ben Verlander.
You know what I saw though was the 2024 AL wildcard. So,
yeah,
that's just where I'll leave it.
Consistency over a hot streak.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our last podcast before the chaos starts. We really appreciate it. Once again, everyone, if you have not liked our podcast on YouTube or shared it or subscribed to it, please subscribe to the Throwing Partners podcast. We would really appreciate it. We are sitting on magical number 69 right now. Not that most men don't like that number. But however, I would love to get us to 70, 80, 1,000 million subscribers. That is our ultimate goal, is just to have a podcast that produces good content, not with just casuals. And then also, too, if you don't want to look at our faces, you can always just listen to us. We are on Apple Podcast. If you would leave us a 5-star review, once again, we are the Throwing Partners podcast on Apple Podcast. Leaving us a 5-star review also really helps the show. We have 5 of them so far. They're all 5-star reviews. Make yourself the 6th. We would really appreciate that. So thank you, everyone, for what you do and for all of the support. And have a wonderful opening day tomorrow.